placed in office and distributed on April 13, 2021. Items to discuss in the closed work session of April 29, 2021, and include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations, and their grievances, tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. Results of these discussions will be public as soon as possible. You're joining a flag salute. Behind you. Don't worry, you're good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to turn it over to Marcia for some comments and take it away.
Why are you using your mic? Everybody hear me okay? No? Is this okay? Better? Okay. Why are you using the microphone? If you are speaking as a board member or you're speaking in the microphone, you can put your mask down. You're the only one that will have your mask down at that time. That is acceptable. We're more than 6 feet away. We make sure that we protect everybody as social as possible. With that being said, first thing on our agenda is to we'll be providing the snow day, giving the snow day back. We did not use Friday before Memorial Day. Everybody's very happy about that, myself included. Also, if you look at next year's school calendar, the 21-22 school year calendar, it says it right up front, so we don't have to wait the suspense of what is they going to do with snow day, to give it back, not. Now it says it right up front. If we don't use a snow day, we don't use all 3 snow days, it says exactly what days those are pulled from, so that parents will know and our staff will know right away. In addition to that, tonight on the agenda is our final budget adoption that will be on here. And to congratulate our governor and winners of the year for the 2021 school year, which is on page 22. At Fairwell High School, Kristen Burke, Jennifer Bowman, Keaton Middle School, Keaton Forsyth, and Irene Lombardo, Memorial Middle School, Lindsay Bellis, and Kristen Murphy, Forest School, Jeanette Baglione, Tracy Sami, Lincoln School, Jordana Farrell, and Brian Walker, Nome School, Keith Chasm, and Charles Zimmerman, Bradford School, City Weiser, and Sandra Tommy, Waterford School, Christopher Rule, and Rose Redford, Northern Kelly Skessner, and Dean Bataglia, Edison Schools, again, and Michelle Sorman. Typically, please give them a round of applause. Typically, we have to come to board meetings, obviously due to the pandemic, and 2 years ago was the last time that we actually were able to acknowledge them in person. We do have a nice gift for them that we will be sending them. Typically, this is our first in-person board meeting, so we're very excited about that. Minus the heat here, but with that being said, we were trying to keep the people on the board to do a minimum tonight if we could. But we do want to acknowledge these people, and they will be acknowledged from here on out, as well as the gift that we do have for them. Going back to the front of the agenda, there's one more item that is on there, and that is the presentation by Dr. Martina and Neil Fringo on how we plan on spending our ESSA grants to help our students out for learning loss, academic, and mental health due to the COVID pandemic. Before we get to that, we clearly have an audience. We have more than we normally have at our board meetings, and Mrs. Zaza would like to say something, so I spoke with Mr. Amanda, our board president, and said instead of waiting until after the presentation and until we get to the new business portion of the meeting, which we regularly invite potentially, we figured it's very hot here, so we would like to give you respect coming up. If you would like to speak now, rather than waiting for later at some meeting. Microphone's on.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Maria Zaza, and I am the president of the Fairlawn Association of Educational Secretaries. Thank you
It was on. From what I understand, the fan was disturbing the audio.
Oh, okay. Did you just say something in the microphone? Just say anything.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You okay? All right, go ahead.
Okay. The members I represent, help me all heard the first 2 sentences. Thank you, Mr. Banda and board members, for allowing me the opportunity to address the board tonight. The members I represent do vitally important work that is an integral part of the success of our school district. Our secretaries work hard to ensure the smooth operation of the main office in every school, the guidance departments, student services, the child study teams, Fairlawn Community School, the technology department, the business office functions of accounts payable, payroll, benefits, just to name a few, the library, media centers, buildings and grounds, and athletics. We manage student attendance, scheduling, student data, registration, and aspects of state testing. Secretaries coordinate reports to the state and manage purchasing. They assist and interact with the community and serve the needs of parents, guardians, staff, and students on a daily basis. The list of responsibilities goes on and on. Our members don't just handle all of the business of the school district. They do it with professionalism, efficiency, and care. More than half of our members live here in Fairlawn and are personally invested in this community. Because our secretaries are such extraordinary professionals, we believe they deserve a contract which reflects how hard they work and how much they do. It has always been our goal to come together with the Board of Education to negotiate an agreement that addresses the needs of our members and is fair and equitable for all parties. Unfortunately, after 2 mediation sessions, we have been unable to do so. The association has always negotiated in good faith, and it is still our intention to continue working toward a respectful and appropriate solution. We hope that the board will reconsider its current position and partner with us to avoid the protracted, stressful, and extensive process of fact-finding. It is our sincere desire to return to the negotiating table in order to reach an agreement that is mutually beneficial and in the best interest of everyone concerned. On behalf of the Secretaries of Fairlawn Schools, thank you again, and we look forward to renewing a positive and productive conversation.
Thank you very much. Okay, Murphy, is anybody, it's just you or is anybody else from your organization this meeting? Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to the public. Oh, yeah, oh, sorry, presentation by Dr. Latina and Mr. Frank.
Mr. President,
We're muted again, okay, all right.
Mr. President, for the superintendent, is there a response that you would like to give to
No.
the statement?
No.
at this point, we're going to set up the presentation. Dr. Latina, Mr. Franco are going to do a presentation on the ESSER funds and how we plan on applying for the grant. If you would like to stay for the presentation and the rest of the board meeting, you are more than welcome. If you don't choose, if you want to go home, God bless you. It's up to you if you would like to stay for the meeting. I will not be offended if you choose to go to a cooler location and go home, but you're more than welcome to stay. I will leave it up to you as we get the presentation set up. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna want to zoom in, right?
Alright, so Wendy's at home, and she said she heard Nick, but she didn't hear Lorraine. Okay. Sorry.
Can I turn this or can I turn it? You can turn it. I'll turn it for you. Good? Good. This presentation will be online tomorrow, be on our website. So you can see if you want.
Phil, you got that on the camera? Okay, thanks.
Are we good to go?
Good.
Good evening, everybody, and as Mr. Murphy has said, Bill Franklin and I are here to speak to you tonight about this next round of funds coming from federal government in response to the coronavirus pandemic. So we're going to speak to you tonight about our proposal for how to spend it in the various categories that are available. So before we get into the meat of the presentation, obviously there are many factors that go into the decision-making process. How are we going to spend these funds? What are the needs? And so we took a look at teacher benchmarking data, student performance. We had multiple meetings with the district administration. We had building level and department level discussions. They occurred all year long. They occur constantly. Because obviously the student performance and their progress is first and foremost in our minds. We had a massive spring assessment data collection, which I shared with all of you that was required by the NJDOE, in which we gathered interim performance level data on every single student in the district. We've had child studies and guidance, SAC conversations, what is going on in those departments, how are our students doing? And we've also obviously gathered data and had discussions with our effective school solutions and Care Plus providers. All of this information went into the decisions that were made for the use of our ESSER funds. Basically, there are three categories. You'll notice as we talk about the categories and go through the presentation that there is a lot of blurring of the lines between these three categories. There are allowable uses that are the same across the categories. We are going to be sharing funding across the categories for particular activities. So some of the allowable uses for the ESSER 2 funds are to address learning loss, those gaps in the disrupted learning that our students have faced. We have mental health services that we are allowed to use the funds on, educational technology, anything in preparation for reopening our schools falls under ESSER 2, so building concerns, PPE, those kinds of things. Learning acceleration, there are two categories, academic enrichment and the learning ecosystem. And then under the mental health category, we are allowed to spend funds on professional development, supports, and services. And as we go through the presentation, you will see under each of those categories how we would like to use the funds. So let's talk about ESSER 2. That is the largest funded category. The district is receiving $980,337. And we are able to use this money across a couple of years. Basically, it's supposed to be spent by the end of September 2022, but if funds are not expended, we may be able to carry them over for another year. So basically, what we want to do with these funds is we want to address the disrupted learning and the mental health needs of our students. Those are our priorities. So we are talking about holding summer academies this summer. And that is going to look a little different depending upon the grade level of child being in. So for grade 7 through 12, it's going to look more like a typical summer school would. And those are for students that are really not mastering those standards in particular courses and grade levels. We're talking about having enrichment and intervention supplemental type programs for our students We're talking about ELL academies to help our students with the acquisition of English language. We're also talking about funding the resources that go along with those programs. So obviously staffing, as well as online resources, whether we need textbooks or other materials for our students for those programs. We are talking about purchasing Linkit, and I've spoken to you about that before. It's something that will be critical for us to identify learning gaps. So this data warehousing platform allows us a place for us to input lots of assessment data on our students, but it also allows us to digitize our assessments. It also allows us to get very quick turnaround on our assessment scores. It allows us to analyze our data. It also provides us with common benchmark assessments in ELA and math for all of our students grades K through 12. And that's especially critical at this time. So we have some common assessments for all of our students to determine individual gaps as well as what do we do better with our curriculum. We're also talking about spending money over the summer to do the hard work that's needed in our curriculum. So we know that we need to prioritize what are we doing with our students next year? What are those key standards that students need to learn in each of our subject areas at each grade level? So we are going to be doing that work this summer. We have attended multiple webinars where we have learned what the NJDOE has done already in those areas where they have helped to prioritize the necessary standards for our students. During the school year of 2021-2022, we're talking about continuing to address those learning needs by having after-school academies. So again, working with our students after school to provide the additional support that they need. We want to expand our social emotional learning programs into grades 7 through 12. Our schools address social emotional learning needs now, but there is not a formalized program, and that is one thing that we are working towards. And it's a really important part of the work that the high school has been doing this year. They have taken a look at what we've done from K through 6 with our Stanford Harmony program, and they built upon that and extended it into the high school. We need to fill that gap in 7th and 8th grade, and that's a key piece of work that we are going to be working on not only in the summer, but also into next school year. So we're going to be talking about spending funds on, again, materials and training for teachers, assembly programs possibly, to make sure that our students are supported in those ways through a very effective SEL program. We are going to take some of these ESSER II funds and combine them with the mental health money, and Mrs. Frank is going to speak to that in a little bit. But we are going to combine funds because you'll see that it's a much smaller pot of money when it comes to mental health. So we're going to combine money from ESSER II with the money from mental health to hire some additional staff to address the needs of our students. We are so far ahead of the game here in Fairlawn because we already have a program, and we've had it for several years. So we know that we can support our students typically. This is not a typical year. We do anticipate that there will be more needs, and we want to make sure that we address them and do that in a timely manner. And again, we're going to talk about the various ways we're going to do that when Mrs. DeFranco comes up and speaks about that. Then, when we get to the summer of 2022, we will do lots of reassessment. We will, again, constantly look at student progress, and based on where our students are at that point in time, once again, have funds to put into additional summer work with our students to address that disrupted and interrupted learning. Learning acceleration is the second pot of money. You can see it's a lot less. It's $62,913. And there are very, very particular ways that we must spend that money. So we have to take that learning, the total of learning acceleration. 75% of those funds must be used for academic enrichment, meaning helping kids to catch up, accelerate learning, look at those specific needs of students. remaining 25% is focused on ELA and or the arts. Let's go back. So 75% is academic enrichment. The remaining 25% must be spent on supporting the learning environment. So let me tell you what we plan to do with these funds. So out of that total bucket of money, the academic enrichment part, remember, is 75% of total funds. So what we intend to do during the school year and during the summer is very similar to what we talked about with the use of SR2 funds. We are looking at extended learning opportunities. We're looking at filling the gaps, addressing interrupted learning, but in a very focused way. So with these funds, we're looking specifically at STEM and ELA. We want to take a look at the sciences and the maths and say, is there a way that we can try to encourage some of our traditionally underserved populations? How can we get them into some of these enriched classes, some of these science courses or math courses? So a really specific focus on that, in addition to providing these opportunities for a larger population. So we're going to be looking into programs and ways to do that after school. And then we're also looking to provide similar types of opportunities for our students next summer. In the area of ELA, we are looking primarily at K-2, doing phonics-related work. This is what we keep getting feedback on, that our students at K-2 need that additional support in phonics. So we want to do a phonics-based program over the summer and into the school year, while our older kids are going to focus a little bit more on specific reading strategies, book clubs, things of that sort. In the area of learning environment, they stress growth mindset. They talk about how the student's mindset impacts their learning. And so they want to make sure that we are addressing those types of needs as well. So again, we're going to get back to that SEL program at the high school. We are spending money for the high school team, which are teachers and administrators and other staff members, to continue their work on the development of the program. We are going to spend money during the school year on supporting our families. So how can we help parents understand what we're doing with all this money? How can we let parents know about what's available to their children? And how can we help parents help their children at home? So continuing that training we already do in mental health, but expanding it, and again, helping parents understand how can you also support your child academically at home. And we're also going to spend money on staff professional development. So again, in the area of thinking growth mindset, supporting the social emotional needs of children. So we need to provide continued professional development for our staff to recognize the needs of students in these areas and to teach them how to best support the children as well. So that is how we intend to use the money for those first two big buckets. And I'm going to invite Mrs. Franco up so she can speak to you about the mental health needs.
As Dr. Lacatina said, part of the funds that we receive from the federal government needs to be applied to mental health. And even within that pool of money, which is specifically $45,000, 10% of that money must be, we're required to spend it on professional development so that we can give training to our educators in order to raise awareness, treat student anxiety, depression, and know signals or warning signs that our students might be facing. This has been quite, say over and over again, it's been an exceptional year. It's been a year like no other. We've had students who have had difficulties transitioning. We've also had a lot of students that have built a lot of resilience transitioning in. All of our efforts in terms of returning to in-person learning and doing that in phases has certainly helped reduce some of our mental health needs. However, we do recognize that we need to provide more. As Dr. Lacatina said, Fairland's ahead of the game. We have a strong mental health structure within our school base. as I mentioned before, we already have in Fairmont a tiered structure of support. We have services at the building level. We have services through our guidance, our SACs, our Child 17. We have services for students we have pushing services that are provided through Care Plus. We have more intensive services supplied through PSS. We have Child 17 services. So we do have a wraparound level of care within Fairmont. However, we know that, as I said before, this pandemic has presented with some challenges. We would like to provide and continue to provide, as we have done for this summer, individual and small group counseling through Care Plus and PSS. And that would be for students who have already been identified as at risk and who are already a part of their current Care Plus and PSS casework. Within that, we'd like to expand it. So at the middle school level, we would like to be able to partner with PSS and set up a 6-week cycle for our middle school students who are having a very specific issue with re-entry into the building. So this would be students who have been virtual and maybe have never stepped foot into the building before. This would be students who are in but are still having some difficulty. Basically, our group of students that we may not have been able to identify as quickly because we do have a hybrid level of learning and a virtual level of learning currently existing within our program. And we will be working to identify those students over the next few weeks, and that will be an allied effort with teachers, with building level administrators, and supervisors so that we can provide that level of service over the summer. In addition, we would also like to have our anchors, our district staff, people who know the students, know the buildings well, be available to provide counseling services at the building level. What this will look like will probably come to take shape as we start to identify what students might need this level of support. So this could occur at every single building. This could occur at select buildings where students can kind of go to and establish drop-in times for counseling. Or this can occur only at a few buildings based upon our needs and based on student and family issues. Just a reminder, we will still be having our transition program for our incoming 5th and 9th graders. So whatever I'm talking about right now will not preclude any of that, but we just wanted to be able to provide almost like a bit of a tier, something at the building level, something at our more at-risk students at the middle school level that will be transitioning back in, and then also our existing at-risk students that will need help. And we felt it was really important to work together with our partners that we already have on staff because they know our students and also are connected and contracted partners with Care Plus and ESS because they have just been so vital throughout this entire time. For the school year 2021 and 2022, as Dr. Petty mentioned earlier, we would like to be hiring 2 additional Care Plus workers to provide push-in services or individual group-based services, depending on student need. This could occur at multiple levels, or this may be concentrated at our upper level based on some of our referral rates and numbers. And now just as a wrap-up, if we know anything, we know that sometimes things can be a little bit unpredictable or sometimes certain things unfold kind of as it goes along. So we would like to speak to some additional considerations that we should kind of keep in the back of our mind as we are thinking about using these funds. So one of which is we may want to be using these funds for some more educational technology. We've been talking about this all along. We have been able to establish more technology at our high school level. This could, include mini carts or services of that nature at our other building levels, but always would like to improve those technological services. This could also include online resources as Dr. Legacy spoke about earlier. We'd also like to consider using part of this funding for Millham or other community because we know that has been valuable. We know that there has been a need catered to in terms of a multi-sensory approach. We know it is research-based, we know it is evidence-based, and we know that it works with children. difference in students that we didn't even realize within the school year. And we might need to talk to the teachers who are involved over the summer and staff and supervisors over the summer to say, hey, this came up and we're thinking that we might want to cycle some of those funds into this area as a result of what presents to us over the summer from our students. And that's basically it. That's it. And now, questions?
All right, questions from the board. Julie, Ron, Vlad, Mark.
Thank you, guys. I just had one specific question. You did not identify whether this is going to be open to every student or just students who fall under a certain criterion based on the data that you've collected so far.
So, Mrs. Franco spoke about a tiered approach to mental health, and there will probably be a tiered approach to the academic piece as well. I'm assuming you're talking about the academic piece. So we are looking into certain educational platforms, and we're meeting with several different vendors currently, whether it's Reading Edge or iWriting or various programs like that. And those licenses will probably be available to every student at appropriate grade levels. So if you choose to stay engaged during the summer, you can choose to stay engaged, we're going to provide you with some resources to do that. But then we're going to have some more intense programs. We're going to have seat time in front of a teacher. Those will be for identified students. If we have enough staff and there are students that don't come, then we may be able to open that up to more students as well. And then again, once we come back to the summer, once we come back to the school year, we may have some students that are in certain classes that even after the summer support might need certain classes and or some after school help. So again, there are going to be a level of tiered services. So part of it is identifying those students that are most in need, but also trying to offer something to those children that might not qualify for that, but would still like to be engaged in something. So again, trying to come up with some kind of activities, online platforms, and it's hard because again, we just spend all this time doing online, right? We don't get to see people in person, but we would have to prioritize depending on how students are progressing.
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Sure.
So in regards to students in need, I just want to clarify that this is going to be focused on our general education, so our basic skills students, our students who are interested in intervention, or is it also going to be our special education students who you have identified as learning loss, so it's separate from extended school year?
So I think that, and again, this is Frank, I want to jump in, but, so when you're looking at Title I funds, because that's something that I work with, special education students are not excluded from using Title I funds. And so this is the money that's appropriated to us is based on Title I funds. They're not Title I funds, but keeping with that thinking, because so much of it is overlapping, it would not exclude special education students from being part of this. In fact, they are very specific. They're very specific that we have to take a look at all of those subgroups. And so we need to address what we are doing with different populations of students. So this is all students, and then the program will be appropriate to their needs.
But it won't be in place of a
extended
mandated ESY program.
No, an ESY program that we want.
Yep. Sorry.
So extended school year has a different formula in terms of the qualification for that, which relates to regression. So if you're identified for extended school year, that's a separate construct than learning interruption, learning gap, or learning loss. So those students are in the process right now because IEPs are being conducted. That's going on right now, and as Dr. Tina said, if we have students that, let's say, wouldn't meet that formula, but through our scores, we found had an IEP and scored within a certain range that we start to identify, then they wouldn't be excluded from participating in this open summer. But yes, like separate entity based on individual student and regression.
That help? It did. No, it did. And
And you're trying to keep groups small, right? So having 25 students in a group would not be ideal. Would we do that in order to get more kids involved? Depending upon the staffing, possibly. So what I can tell you is we are going to try to include as many students as possible with the resources that are funding and staff as possible. Yeah.
All right, Ron, you're next. Well, you had your hand up, right? I got you down. Ron, you're up.
Well, you answered part of my question. So the evaluation of students, you said the last 2 weeks, is that every student in the district, or is that just the special needs students? Is that every student that's going to be evaluated? Or?
Mr. Barber wants to, I don't know what you mean by evaluation.
Well, you mentioned about evaluations the last 2 weeks, I guess, of the year, they're going to evaluate the students, I guess, where they're at or something.
Not CST evaluations, just evaluating how they have done by the end of the year, and then also based on spring assessment data that we have to submit to the state. So that's what I think you probably meant to evaluate and not exactly an evaluation.
Okay.
If I said it the wrong way, I apologize.
No, that's all right. I was curious. And following up on the extended school year, so if a child is in the extended school year, but they're also going to need the extra help, does that mean they're going to go to 2 different types of sessions, or how we?
It could be depending on how we look at, depending on, what parent may select. So, remember, an extended school year program is a pretty, we do provide a pretty extensive program. If there is something that we are running later on that they can qualify for generally, then I can't say that they wouldn't be allowed access to that. But part of what they are getting through extended school year may suffice for what they need during that time.
Okay. And one last thing, this is from Dr. Lamartina. My favorite subject testing. I know they've eliminated some tests, but how we go about preparing the kids for next year, is that going back to our regular old plan, or is there something?
So what the federal government has allowed the state of New Jersey to do this year is they have said that we can issue or administer start strong assessments in the fall. So the NJDOE, in conjunction with another vendor, came up with some assessments that are much shorter than a typical NJSLA, but are designed to measure mastery of standards. So what we are going to do in the state of New Jersey is starting in September and October of next year, we will be administering start strong assessments to our students, and that will take the place of NJSLA from this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. A couple of questions. First, I think both of you mentioned hiring new staff. Is it the same 2 people, or is it 2 different sets of people?
So it would be staff from Care Plus. So it could be like 2, we would have 2 different people. I don't see how one person could probably handle the case or both. So it would be 2 different people coming from some.
Okay, so we both will talk about the same thing. And the second question, I suppose that if we did not receive these funds, then some of the activities that you described would take place, but now with these funds, you can do more and better. Some of this will still take place, right?
So some of this work would absolutely take place, but a very small amount of it would take place. So again, we are very fortunate, I'll talk about the mental health again, we are very fortunate that we have quite an extensive program in place. So we are addressing our students' needs. But again, when we look at the impact of this pandemic, we anticipate that we're going to have more students that might be typical that are struggling. We have intentions, which we don't usually do, we have intentions of pushing in to every kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade class. The way that we talk about that kindergarten boot camp that we started, we are talking about doing something similar across every elementary school classroom, so that we are equipping every single child with certain skills to learn how to be resilient and to learn coping skills. And again, talking about those mindfulness techniques and building that growth mindset. So we are talking about trying to build a program like that, K to 6, we're also talking, we have not run a spatial summer school program in the past couple of years. We were talking about bringing back something like that because of this pandemic using these funds. So we are going to get a lot of additional support for our students through this. So I would say a tremendous amount more. You're welcome.
Mark.
Yes, I want to thank you first for your very comprehensive report. You certainly have shown that there's a broad band of activities that are going to be offered to our students. My question is, will you need additional funding that the board can provide to enrich or perhaps provide even further types of instruction to these children? Because I know you mentioned technological services as well as support healing them, and I don't want to short anybody from getting anything.
So right now we have to get down a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of our budget. And I would say that right now we should be pretty good. It is a lot of services. The technology piece is probably one of the more expensive ones. So we are hoping to use some of that technology, but we have to figure out the budget. And again, our first priority is doing some in-person work with the kids in the summer and the after-school work in person with the children, and then seeing where we land with all of the funds. So technology is a possibility. It's one of those other considerations. We want to take a look at that. But we are going to first figure out the budget for all those other pieces. So I think it's a little premature for me anyway to figure out what you might be able to provide us with. But we can certainly let you know.
Please, and say really short.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. Okay.
Thank you. It's very high here, Mr. President.
Yes, we did.
Yes, I would like to say the technology piece is something that the board should definitely address. I think I added up the total of these funds, and it's $180,000. This is, I mean, the money is appreciated, but this is pennies compared to what we actually need, in my view, as a board member and as a parent, and I'm a lifetime teacher too. Education is investing in as early as possible in remediating the needs of our kids. It's a great return. Dr. Lacatina, how is this addressing the needs of our English language learners?
They will be eligible for all the programs that we just explained. So it will be meeting their needs in that way. I also presented that we will be doing an ELL Academy, which we have done in the past, we did that last year as well, for our English language learners get to attend, again, supplemental programs over the summer that help them with their English language skills. So they have the opportunity for all those other programs plus the ELL.
I too want to echo one of the board members' remarks. I think we need to put a lot of emphasis in the early grades, K through 4th. We already have data at our disposal. Teachers have summative, formative assessment, attendance record, teachers observation. The district already have the data needed. I wish I would have seen more programs targeted towards the summer, because how can you remediate what was lost, after a year?
Mr. Santana, I think
If I
that
may, can I just?
you don't want me to address that?
Yes, go ahead.
So if you saw with the use of ESSER funds and learning acceleration funds, there are indeed summer programs. So there will be summer programs offered for ELA and math and possibly science for our students. We're running not all of those bullets are on that slides I spoke to. That you'll see it says Summer Learning Academy.
Yes,
Right?
and,
Okay. I just wanted to
yes,
make, okay, I just wanted to make
yes,
sure.
I just want to be brief in my remarks. Thank you. I understand and I agree with the growth mindset component, but I think we need to put a lot of emphasis in the academic needs of the children that have fallen behind because of COVID and because of if they didn't if remote learning didn't work out for them. I think addressing the academic needs in my view as a board member is a priority. And I understand what was the logic, what is the rationale of hiring two employees through those two companies instead of doing it directly us, not through the company that already provides services to us. I feel that, in these rough times, I would want to see as a board member, this is my personal opinion, the companies to be creative and see if they can think outside the box to do more than what they're doing because everybody's doing more than what they're asked for. So I just wish I would have seen more programs for the summer, more, and I would like more of the needs of the K-4 students. These are critical ages in the life of a learner. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael. Thank you for the very nice presentation. I want to say that I like the fact that we have both the mental health component and the academic component. Because I did see the academic academies for all grades. But I think if we don't take care of the mental health first, then the students can't learn. Okay? So students can't learn before they're going hand in hand. So if students are having a hard time mentally, they're not going to be in a position to learn. So I appreciate the fact that you are taking care of both of those components. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other board members? Questions, comments? Members of the audience, you have questions or comments regarding the presentation? You can come on up and ask them. Just the presentation, yes. Yeah, no, just the presentation for now. We'll get to the agenda and other business later. Just state your name for the record. I couldn't understand what you just said.
Christine Weinstein.
Okay, thank you.
My questions are around special education. You didn't answer a lot of questions already. Thank you for asking. So this is going to differ from the ESY program we currently have in place. Is it going to run simultaneously so parents have to decide between one or the other? Is CSY is kind of like a half-day program runs for a month. Is it going to be run similarly, or is it going to run all summer, or is it going to be tiered? Middle school and high school is July, and elementary is August, or how will that be structured?
So I think it depends on the program. So ESY would naturally come first because that is something that is within the body of the IEP, that is something that was decided upon by the team as a result of the progression and recruitment forming. If there was something else that, let's say a student was a part of something through ESY, but then also something through ESS over the summer, we would have to just take a look at individually how that would be worked out. If there was something else that we are trying to look at how we can move it into a different section, moving it from ESY into another like month or also another time so that we can have some overlap. I can't say it's going to be like I don't want to make a parent choose either or, but I can't say that it's going to be a complete like exit and then entry. But I can say that we will be able to provide a level of service within the IEP that student needs, and if that's something else needs to happen through this other backup, whether it's through the mental health piece or whether through the academic piece, we're
provide into any of the social education programs, or are these specifically for gender?
So I think that we said before that it can apply to all students. So we want to make sure that we are kind of hitting all groups of students. Again, ESY is a separate entity. Those students are identified through their IEP. The other supports are open to any student that is identified by their classroom teacher or building administrator when we start to look at how we're going to survey which students are in these programs over the summer.
One more question, sorry, about this test. Sorry, testing opportunity times. So you're saying there will be tests at the beginning of the year, is that going to take place of testing later in the year, or are they going to have two sets of tests then?
That I don't know. I'm not sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the audience? Okay, now we're going to go to members of the audience for agenda items. If you have a comment or a question on an agenda item, please step up to the microphone and state your name, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. Thank you. The heat's getting on. It's not that hot, really. It's not. No, it's not. It's not that hot. Hey, take your jacket off. I think I know who that is. There it is. Hi, David. How are you?
Why are you not
It's like a mass city, right?
Why are you not giving Jens on these?
You're on the clock right now. David Trager, 310 Austin Street. I just have a question. I know you guys had a pretty good conversation last month about the new position of supervisor of school counseling. And I did notice on the agenda tonight that you did find somebody. I was surprised when I looked up on LinkedIn that person only has 5 months experience as supervisor in a district that's about a third the size of ours. And I'm just curious as to the whole logic of how you got there as opposed to more staff. And hopefully someone can answer the question on that and where it goes from there. Because I guess with the fifth graders coming in, the need, obviously the amount of people who need guidance counselors in the middle school obviously increases by a third. It's going to be a tough job, right? And I would assume that you would want someone with experience, or at least a depth of experience as a driver in that. Again, maybe this person is that. Just looking for some insight on that, where we go from here.
We had a very extensive interview process for this meeting. Everybody hear me okay back there? We had a very extensive interview process for the search committee together. We went through all of the resumes. It was several rounds, and we feel that our candidate, we're very pleased with our candidate. She has knowledge. We actually normally have all the candidates here. They didn't share role, but they asked them to stay all night and do COVID protocol and we're watching right now. And we're very pleased with all the administrative candidates that we have on the agenda tonight, with the experience that they have. And I feel that they'll do a great job here in Carroll as administrators. And that's exactly why this person is recommended for the board. I'm not going to get into it anymore. I'm going to back with it because it's personality. And out of respect for them, we really don't discuss personality. You know that from being a former board member. I appreciate your question, your concern, but I have 100% confidence in your ability to perform the test.
What is the plan for guidance in terms of now that we have graders in middle school?
The plan for guidance has been unveiled in previous board meetings. We have a job description, and once the person starts, we'll be happy to disseminate more information on that. I think that's just more in-depth conversation.
Okay.
Thank you, David. Any other members of the audience on agenda items, please?
You can give me a jet update, that would be very helpful.
It'll be well said. I don't care worry about it.
Good evening, Joseph Polkowski. Just wanted to first
our class was a part of her proposal. For now, Leslie had worked with our entire class in order to make the proposal happen. So that's a special memory of my elementary years, and best of luck in her retirement. To also just go off with Mr. Chapter, I do understand the personnel issue, so I won't get too much into that. But was confused by the creation of a new position at $140,000. But counselors are currently overloaded. Over 300 students per counselor, 350 cases. When the ASCA, the American School Council Association, recommends schools maintain 250 students per counselor. I know my experience in Fairlawn School District, it was very difficult to form a relationship with our counselors because there were so many students. I know, once again, personnel. However, the individual, as you mentioned, does only have 5 years of supervisory experience when the requirements that were put out was 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. At $140,000, I would hope, I do understand the process, but we want to make sure that we're spending our money to make sure we get that experience that the students need. Her previous salary at her previous job was $30,000 less than this starting salary, and that was only 5 months ago that salary started. At a time when students are experiencing such limited personal interactions, would it not make more sense to invest in personnel that have a daily interaction with our students, especially in regards to student wellness? I know the board members have talked about that at previous meetings. The relationships counselors form is probably the front lines of both observing and addressing mental health needs.
Thank you, Joseph, for your comments. First, let me just clarify that step 1 of the administrator's guide is $120,000. So we have to, put our people on step 1 of the administrator's guide. So we didn't just pull out an arbitrary number and say we're going to give you $140,000. It is step 1 of our administrator's guide as negotiated by the Board of Education. Second, our counselors will probably average 250, not over 300. So it is in line with the national recommended case level. Third, there was a gentleman who was a teacher in his younger days, and that teacher then became a case manager, so guidance counselor. Then received his first administrative job when he was 28 years old. Central office administrator. That person is the superintendent. So don't sell somebody short for starting at an early age and advancing a career with no experience. You should never have one day to make you superintendent of the best school district in New Jersey. Thank you, Jersey.
Yeah, you got 40 seconds.
All right. No, I completely understand, and being young, I hope to excel quickly as well. And it is the best school district in the state, in the country. I'm just confused because the requirements for the position posted was 3 years as supervisor.
Joseph, I apologize. We are not going back.
Okay. No, of course. Thank you.
Everybody who speaks.
Louder. Could you wait to be recognized, please?
Point of order.
What's your point of order?
Can you please be calm to a fellow board member? Did you scream at me?
It's okay.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Santana, thank you.
Everybody who speaks, including me, can Republican and myself, try to speak into the microphone at this level, otherwise she does not hear you.
No, I know, I want to be heard. And sometimes it's hard to modulate yourself with a microphone. Any other members of the audience on agenda items? Seeing none. Board members, comments on agenda items. Mark?
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session, discuss agenda item P1.
Second.
And I would hope that my fellow board members would support this discussion. Thank you.
So you got Mark and Mr. Santana? Okay. Want to do some discussion? Who wants to discuss? No, discussion whether or not to go into closed session. No discussion? Ron and Julie.
I have a question, we said P1, so go to closed session to discuss all those appointments that we want.
One in particular. Am I allowed to say which one?
I'd rather you didn't.
I'd rather you just do it.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbarulo.
No.
Ms. Quackenbush. No. Mr. Aiken.
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich.
Yes.
Mrs. Bahan.
No.
Mr. Rosenberg.
No.
Mr. Stendel.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Yes.
Mr. Banta.
No. Any other board members, questions, comments on agenda items? Okay, seeing none.
I would like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss another item in personnel.
Is there a second? Which item?
On the advice of the attorney, which I don't think I should mention which one, but it's a different one.
Is it P1 or something else?
There's something in B1.
Okay, well, you already voted on P1, so you can't say make the same motion again.
What if I say specifically the item? Am I allowed?
It's personnel. So we're kind of restricted on what we can say in open session. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I want to move into closed session is because we need to discuss this item in closed session so we can say what we need to say and not be stopped from discussing it in public. So I wish every board member will vote yes so we can be on the same page with this.
We've already had a vote. We've already had a vote.
Can I make a motion to reconsider?
No, only.
Mr. Willie Attorney, can
Excuse me, Mr. Santana. I'm running a meeting. If I need an opinion from Mr. Green, I will ask him. Okay? Thank you.
hold on, he's a parliamentarian.
He's a parliamentarian, and I'm running a meeting. So I will decide whether or not we need an opinion from the parliamentarian. That's how it works. We're under Robert's rules. That's how it works.
So we have a parliamentarian and you have to tell the parliamentarian when to do his job? That is not democracy. That is not a democratic process.
Okay, well, now we're getting way past anything we were talking about before. We've had a motion, was decided 5-4, no. So we can't have the same motion again.
Can I have a motion to reconsider?
No, only the winning side can make a motion to reconsider. The losing side can't keep coming back and asking for another fight. Yeah, those are the rules. They're not my rules, they're Robert's rules. Vladimir.
Different. Do we have any change to item E3A? I think we make something here and change. Yes, yes.
Yes, E3A.
Excuse me.
E3A, is that better? Good. E3A, policy that was on there was outdated and old and non-existent at this point. So the policy that will be on our agenda that we'll be referencing on this motion, unfortunately, we already copied all of these, so it's not going to kill another tree for it. But the policy tied to it will be home instruction policy 2412, home instruction for general education student policy number 2481, and an expulsion policy for home instruction 5620. So moving forward on all agendas, whenever there is a bedside home instruction, student recommended, those three policy numbers will be listed there to encompass all reasons why a student may be placed on home instruction, not the outdated policy that's on there right now. Thank you, sir. Yeah, policy 2412, 2481, and 5620.
Any other board members? Questions, comments on the agenda? Mike.
I just want to congratulate Carrie Cahill, Deborah Moore, and Susan Walensky on their retirement and thank them for their 67 years of service to the Fairfield School District.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Rita. the vote was for P1 in general, so by voting down P1, that's already been considered decided, so.
No, Mike, Mark, no, that was just to go into closed session.
Yeah.
So,
I could agree with that, that's what I thought. Oh, okay, you separate out the vote. You can make, yes, you can vote specifically on it.
yeah, that's what I thought, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you. Any other board members? Mr. Santana?
Thank you, Mr. Board President. On G1,
Sorry, which one?
On G1,
G1, thank
we
you.
received the minutes 5 days after the agenda. I believe the documentation should be sent together, so we do not have to rush through this information at the last minute. It is stressful and it is not a good practice. I have spoken about this in prior meetings. In terms of the enrollment for March 2021, Mills has over 400 students, Linkers has 201. I think this discrepancy needs to be looked at by the board. If it takes to redistrict to bring some fairness, we need to redistrict. I asked the administration for the capacity of this building that was not provided to me. I will be opposing 2 items on P1. F3A and B, page 27, the bills list, again, this is not the first time I asked for this, it should be sent with the agenda. And I would prefer as a board member not to receive all this documentation on a Friday, because it's not, I think if we receive it during the week, not right before the meeting, it would be more helpful. F5G, page 28, I don't think replacing blinds for $100,000. We should invest our money instead in immediate instruction for students that have fallen behind in 2019. Spending $100,000 on blinds during COVID is wrong, and we should not approve this. We have blinds already. This is a one I need. We voting no. F5B. This is not the time to update sound system. This costs around $40,000 more or less. The money needs to be spent helping our students, so parents don't have to hire private tutors. F5J, page 30. I do not support this. Hiring Amazon when we have many local businesses in Fairmont struggling, and the administration provided information that they looked at the Chamber of Commerce website. Unfortunately, not every business is part of the Chamber of Commerce. And we need to do a better job in reaching out to our businesses in Fairmont, because we can help them and they can help us. F6F. I would like this page 32, I would like this issue to be solved in a timely fashion. Our high school, I would like to have zero distraction and interruption to good old teaching and learning. I know BSC and D changes transformers all the time. I don't know why this is taking so long. And last but never least, never ever least, I want to congratulate our teachers of the year and our support staff of the year. But more important, every teacher, every staff member in our district who does an amazing job. You are all teacher and staff of the year. Now, I would like the administration, I already brought this up to the superintendent. The landscape of our buildings needs to improve. I already brought this up to the superintendent. We have some schools with impeccable landscape. We board members are in charge of overseeing everything in our district, inside and outside of school. We have one school with beautiful landscape that I have to commend, Westmoreland. Wow, I wish my house was right next to Westmoreland. However, we have both middle schools, our landscape, I would like the district to do a better job. Okay? Rear side of TJ and the landscape of Memorial also. I think I will be speaking more about this topic in new business, because we have to get more value for hard-earned money. We have to get more value. I would like to ask my fellow board members that when one of us, even you, if you want to propose, anyone here, I say you, when anyone here would like to make a proposal, and you want to discuss something in closed doors, I think it's better for all of us to be on the same page and, break bread in closed doors together because our items are not allowed to speak. And just give the courtesy to one another to be able to talk in closed session. Don't say no to being on the same page. Thank you, and thank you.
So, I'm not going to respond to the majority of them because I already answered all those questions this week for the board. But I do want to respond to F6F because I've communicated this to the public already. And we wouldn't be sitting here right now if the situation wasn't rectified. Our school opened on April 12th in phase 3. Right after spring break. It was done in the middle of spring break. I sent an email to the board members. Great news, Fairlawn High School is up and running again. So KCG did work their wonders. Our hard-working business department, maintenance department, staff working around the clock, sending updates and pictures. So I'm not sure what you're referring to because it's been rectified. So when you make a statement saying that they should be fixing it by now, it's been fixed for weeks now. We're living proof sitting here right now with lights on and out. So, but everything else I'm not going to respond to, nor is our administration. We already answered those questions.
Mr. Randall, respond?
After everyone else has spoken, you had 5 minutes. Ron, Cindy, and if nobody else, then we'll go back to you. Ron, back.
Just a point of information, we had a finance buildings and grounds meeting, everybody got it. There are some things on here regarding new boiler, a new tank replacement. Just so everybody understands from my experience, I did research all of this being in the field, and all the costs are at the proper cost. Especially right now where everything in the construction industry is going up over 25 to 40%. That's literally the truth. And I just wanted to say, when you make a comment like that about the transformer, you have no idea what this really was, okay? This is a major transformer. This is like big time. It's not something you go down to the supply house and pick it up and throw it back in again. Not only that, we have a lot of other situations. And lastly, public service with anything, gas or electric, is over 2 months behind on hooking up stuff. So to get them in here as fast as we did, I think the electrical company and our buildings and grounds committee did a phenomenal job, especially had to open up a wall to get the transformer in and out. So Nick kept us abreast of the whole thing. He did call me because he asked me about some of the electrical stuff, and I did, and Mr. Gobb, our director of maintenance, and they did a great job with it. To get it up as fast as they did, I talked to guys in the industry, and they were shocked that it happened so fast. They said, you were looking at least 2 to 3 months most of the time. This was a major transformer that controlled 3/4 of the school. So, but everything else, just so everybody understands, I did research through Brooke, and everything here is accurate, and the pricing is right on par with everything that's going on right now in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Cindy, you had your hand up, right?
Just wanted to say that the question was asked about the bills being provided on a timely basis. I was very satisfied with the news, which was they need time to pay the vendors in order to ensure that they're paid in a timely fashion. They close on Friday, we got the bills on Monday. And unless the administrative staff is going to work on Saturday and Sunday so that we can get the bills on Sunday night, I think it's fair to say that you're closing the bills on Friday and we receive them on Monday. That is fair and just. I also wanted to say that many times I have said about the process of going through suppliers and whatnot. It's all part of the audit process. If we do not follow those rules, we will fail the audit. And I don't mean fail entirely, but if you don't go through the proper bid process, that's what they come in and audit. They look at the records. You can't just call Charles Building and Supply because they're having a sale on what you may need at the time. There is a long process, and it's not that the board has and the district has decided that. It's the New Jersey Department of Education
that puts those rules and regulations in place to protect the district. So I just wanted to reiterate that they are following what they're supposed to be doing as far as their process. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Any other board members? Mr. Santana, you wanted to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
A couple of things. So first, I personally am perfectly fine receiving agenda on a Friday before the weekend because it gives me time on the weekend to read the agenda. Now, and another topic, brand new, it's not a question, just a comment. Here we're going to prepay a couple of big leases, like laptops and buses, to reduce our costs down the road, to reduce our costs in the few years to come. So I just hope that reducing future costs will translate into reductions in the future tax increases.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Board members? Mr. Santana, you take your 3 minutes.
Yes, I just remember something that I forgot to say also. In terms of the leases that we're paying off, I would like to know, what is the interest rate? What was the interest rate on those leases? Mr. Superintendent.
You want to work the right there?
Mr. Ricky, did you ask that question?
Yes, I asked the question. I don't remember exactly that.
So in finance, we didn't discuss it, as far as pulled it up right there in the meeting. We put our email to the board, we have it on our computer back in the office.
The reason I asked that question is, we all sit down on occasion day with pay bills, write checks, and when you pay off the lease early, right, you're getting all that chunk of money out of your bank account, and all I'm afraid of is that the district is not going to affect our cash flow, because if the interest rate is little, we want to keep our cash flow high. That was my mindset. But it's okay, we don't have that at the disposal. I want to be able to use my time. Going back to purchasing from Amazon, I think a better way would be to research the businesses in town and directly reach out to them. We have business, commercial, industrial sites that can benefit from greater clientele, especially in these tough times. This is my opinion. Shopping on Amazon, it's not a nice gesture to our local businesses in Fairlawn. Imagine if you sell something the district could use, and just because you're not part of a chamber of commerce, the district does not reach out to you. Being in the know and paying dues and being part of a trade group or having a connection should not exclude mom and pop businesses. We have many businesses in Fairlawn struggling, and they will definitely welcome any possibility of doing business with the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Glad.
2.1%.
I'm sorry, what?
2.1%.
Okay, I thought you said 21%. I knew that wasn't right. Thank you. Any other board members? Oh, Mike.
Just on, I have a question. When we go into these cooperatives, isn't it so that we save the district money? Because we're going into cooperatives with other school districts. And my question would be, how many cooperatives are we involved in to save the district money? 14. So it says 1 of 14, and so we get the best, correct me if I'm wrong, so we get the best possible price we can? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, where I definitely support local businesses, and I make it a point in my private life to support public, town businesses. Correct me if I'm wrong, in many of these cases, the town businesses are not qualified to give us to sell the items. A lot of these items.
So we're very restricted on who we can purchase from, what requirements they have. So we're limited on how we can do that. However, if there is a fair-lawn business that is interested in doing business that can provide either a service or a supply, they can certainly reach out to the business office and help in the process. We did put on our website all of the information on purchasing and there's contact information as well, but to your point, there's probably not a local business that can supply $200,000 worth of, say, school supplies or something, meeting the very stringent requirements of our grant disclosure form, political contribution form, all of those things that we really keep an eye on so that, to Cindy's point, we can meet the audit requirements each year.
So as far as some of the purchases, like the blinds, we have to keep our schools, keep our schools up to par. Just like the landscaping outside of schools, we have to keep the inside of our schools up to par. I realize this is a tough year because of COVID. Lines go, I've been in some classrooms where lines aren't great. And in some cases, it affects lighting in the room. In some cases, so there's all reasons to replace blinds on a regular level at a school, where it seems like a lot of money. When you're talking about 10 buildings and you're talking about all the classrooms in the building, you're talking about, it is in line. It's in line with what these things cost. And I think if you delay doing normal things that we would do, we're doing a disservice. I do realize we need to watch it with COVID, but at the same time, our buildings need to be up to par so our kids, again, have a really good learning environment. Because just like mental health, if they don't have a good learning environment, then we do them a disservice. And we do the taxpayers a fair amount of disservice.
Julie.
I want to congratulate all of the ed specialists and the teachers who won our award, as well as thank all of the teachers and staff. I received the award everyone particularly this year. I wanted to ask a clarifying question about the lines. Just give me a second to get there. Can someone clarify for me if the emergency drills that our students practice integrate the use of closing all the lines on our windows and our doors to ensure that our children are safe? And that is part of the reason why we're recruiting them?
Yes, you're correct.
Julie, that's it? You know?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, do you allow me to ask one question?
You want? I'll give you another minute. Go ahead.
I would like to know from the superintendent if we have been in violation of any fire regulation because of any missing blinds in the past 3 years, in the past 2.5 years, the time I've been on the board. Have we been as a district in violation of any fire regulations, any drills regulations from the Department of Education because of the missing blind?
Have we? No.
Thank you.
However, I'm going to finish. However, tomorrow is the day that I want to say that we don't have blinds and we have to go and accurate shooter drill because we want to sneak out outside behind the blinds. This is something that was discussed in the finance committee. The whole committee agreed with moving forward with this. The whole board should hopefully trust the finance committee's recommendations, but I don't want to be the school district who said, yeah, we want to spend money on the blinds and there's an active shooter outside the window. We didn't get violated by the DOE, so we're okay.
Just Thank you. Just to end my sentence, when we spending $109,000 on providing remedial work for our children that are behind, and we're spending all of a sudden now we have an emergency for $100,000 blinds. Sorry, I can't support it.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Okay, I guess time for roll. Yeah. I'm aware. I can have a motion for G1 and G2.
So moved.
This one we're just going to do. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anybody opposed to G1 or G2?
Sorry, I have to abstain from the executive closed session.
Okay. No problem. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on. A motion for B1. That's the budget.
So moved. Okay.
All right. Do a roll call on this one, please.
Mrs. Pavelovich. Mrs. Mayhem.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell. Mr. Santana.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush. Mr. Aitken.
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo. Mr. Banta.
Yes. A motion for S1 through S3, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbarulo. Mrs. Mayhem.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Yes.
Mr. Aitken.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell. Mr. Banta.
Yes. Motion for E1 through E3, please.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mayhem.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell.
Yes.
Mr. Aitken.
Yes.
Mr. Banta.
Yes. Motion for P1 through P7.
I'll move it. Second.
And a roll call, please. This might take a little while.
Mr. Santana.
Can you please pass?
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Aitken.
I'm staying on B1, yes, or anything else?
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich. Mr. Spindell.
On P1, Mr. Attorney, do I mention the specific individual or not?
You'll have to if you want to vote on that separately.
You can use a letter. I believe there's a letter.
No, there's not.
There's no letter? Okay.
On P1, no on supervisor, school counseling, and student wellness. Yes, and every other item.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich.
G1, no on junior assistant support analyst and supervisor, school counselor, and student wellness, and
I'm sorry, was it just no on the supervisor, on development?
Junior system is supporting us.
And junior system.
Yes, but those are no other than
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. It's no on the junior system support analyst and the supervisor of school. So just yes on assistant principal.
Yes.
Okay.
And the rest of P? Okay, everything else is yes.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Mayhem.
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
On P1, no on the assistant principal of the high school. No on the supervisor of school counseling. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. A motion for F1 through Oh, I skipped SE, sorry. SE 1 through 3. Motion.
Sheldon, second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush? Yes. Mrs. Pavelovich?
Yes.
Mrs. Boehner?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo? Mr. Mixon?
Yes.
Mr. Sindel? Mr. Banta?
Yes. We have a motion on F1 through F6.
Sheldon, second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Boehner?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
No on FIG. No on F5D.
Did you say E, like A, or B?
You want me to spell it? Can you hear me well? I'm raising my voice to it out.
E is an elephant, B is a boy, D is a David.
Why is it that I have to spell things out in this meeting?
Mr. Santana, the acoustics in here are horrible, even with the microphone, so you have to bear with us.
Okay. I'm going to begin.
I got F5G.
F as in Frank, 5, G as in giraffe. No.
G as in G.
I got that one. I got that one.
F as in Frank, 5, B as in dog. No. Got that one? You?
Yeah, yeah.
F as in Frank, 5, J as in juice. No. You hear that one?
Yeah. If I don't hear you, I'll let you know.
Okay. I can repeat it 5 times. That's it.
And yes, and everything else?
Yes and everything else.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavelovich?
No, F5D as in door, and everything else, yes.
Thank you. Ms. Quackenbush? Mr. Aitken?
Yes.
Mr. Sindel?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Okay, that's 8 on the agenda items. I'm going to open up the floor to the public on any item that, well, on any issue that suits your fancy. So you got 3 minutes to come up and talk about anything you like. So just step up, state your name for the tape, and make your statement or question. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ruthie Bradley. I'm sure many of you have seen throughout the last 4 months. It's nice to meet in person, so that's great. Glad to get it. There's a lot of things open now. But both you guys are vaccinated, we chose to be vaccinated. I just want to start off, we're in phase 3 now, so this is great. Many schools have already gone to phase 4 when they're open. We know it's small amount of business now, with 1 year because, why can't we, I am not going to go up on, I know there's many maybe that are surrendered, I will not surrender. We still have 2 months. Why can't we go to phase 4? I've seen a huge difference in my son, who's in elementary school at Radford, who goes 5 days a week. He's a different kid now, 5 days. He's eating in his classroom. I don't understand why elementary school we can't just bump out for that. Is it because they look at the lunch aids? Is that the main problem that we don't have lunch aids?
That's part of it.
That's part of it. So then I have a middle schooler who's at TJ here in 6th grade, and she is going in the cohort days, full days, big difference there too. And she still tells me in her cohort days how tiny these cohorts are, generally up to 4 to 6. And, you know, big difference between elementary school and middle school when these kids go to work. And I'm in Orange. And I also work in a hospital setting, so I can see things of anxiety and mental health in the hospital of kids of all ages. The number one thing that Sam kind of said today, which we have to all keep in mind, the unspoken in mental health is that each choice. We have to keep that in mind. We should
I, as a parent, say my business. That's how far I am with this. I never went to jail when I was in register there. This is my 5th day on. That's something I'd like you guys to address. Number 2, summer school. Is this only Dr. Kenna, this approach to you? Is this only, I'm kind of sure it's just end of these meetings, a little late to the meeting. And sure, I'll address all of you. I'm sorry, I know you want me to refer to you.
Right, so
Yes.
your question is about summer school and who is eligible, am I understanding that?
Yeah. So is it only for 504, is it only for IEP?
Well, listen, you want to know who's eligible, so let me see. You want Natalie to answer that, or are you going to?
No, it's okay. That was, we have extended school year that we spoke about, which is IEP driven, and then we have these programs that Dr. Lacadina and Franklin spoke about as well. That'll be geared towards certain students. Now, we not require it, but they would be eligible to attend summer school if they met certain criteria based off of the evaluations that we provide. So it could be for any single kid. It's not just 3rd grade or 4th grade. It could be for anybody. We're not there yet. We're still figuring out the criteria and evaluations. Is that accurate, Dr. Latina?
Yes, so we'll be coming up with eligibility criteria for the various grade levels and subject levels. So if students that are struggling, we will be standards for the various grade levels and subject levels.
Gotcha. So I think that's great, first of all, because I know that a lot of kids in the district do that. That's, I just have a question. What if the kid is doing, thank you for the 30-second reminder. What if the child is doing well or standard? Can they still have that eligibility? What if the parent chooses to send that kid?
So these are conversations that the administration is still having.
So again, the first priority is going to be students that are struggling, and if there's availability, we would certainly look at that first. We want to try to help as many kids as possible within the resources that we have.
And we, Dr. Lucky and I have had this conversation different times. We try to poke as many holes through it as possible so that we could, make sure we're doing the right thing for the district. And one of the things that, we've said was, these need to be data-driven decisions. So we may not have enough spaces, and we may not have enough staff, we don't want to open up floodgates, just give it to everybody, but we're really in need for certain students. So we want to make sure we target those students that we've identified. And then if there is availability and we can pull it off, great, the more the merrier. But if not, we have to make sure that we start with data-driven decisions.
So it's 504 criteria.
504, it's a very individualized question, because you could have a 504 due to diabetes, you could have a 504 for ADHD, so that it could run the gamut, so it's a very individualized question to ask.
So I guess we discuss that with the principal of the school, or how will we discuss that?
When we determine the information, we'll be getting into other things.
Perfect, okay. So I got to give a shout out to TJ Middle School course teacher. She goes out of her way to get the kids in, whether it's in the auditorium or outside.
Like that,
I don't understand why in elementary school, the middle school teacher is doing it, like in my daughter's grade. And really, I don't even know her name, I don't know if I was people, I get her emails like Facebook, whatever, and I'm like, wow, she's really great, she's doing this. And I know one day, my daughter was the only one that went outside. She had older, and she took her outside. She had this, and they sang, and that just, it made my head at the hospital. That made my head. That she did that. So I don't remember her name, but big shout out to her. But then I was disappointed when my own son in 4th grade says, Mom, as well as other 4th grade children that I spoke to, Mom, our favorite, including horrible kids I'm involved with, to help out with all this for the parents. Music and art are some of my favorite classes in French, but yet they teach from home and I'm inside a classroom. So they can't sing with them live, they can't touch things, I understand, but we can still do art, parent can buy things. I don't understand how that's different in elementary school, and then yet an incredible teacher in middle school is doing music. So that I find is a little bit of a, especially in health right now, where these kids really need some of this other stuff.
You've got 4 minutes now, give me an extra minute, so.
Okay, thank you. So I hope that in these 2 months we can work on that a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, one of the things.
Ms. Rodney, there's other people who want to speak.
Okay,
So if you have a seat, ma'am, I let you go an extra minute, and I'll come back to you when these other people are done. I'll give you another shot, okay?
Excellent, I look forward to it, thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Hello, my name is Marlena, and I'm one of the representatives from the Green Team that came this evening. It's much like to talk and everything else we've been through today. I see that Mr. Barbarella is here, he's some of our meetings. The reason why I'm here this evening is to ask the board whether they will have time to see the new slide presentation that we have produced, talking about green development. I know that this is already been
You speak into the mic a little bit more, I don't know harder.
I know that we already spoken this evening a little bit about landscaping. So the council has been, council towns allow us to actually increase the budget of trees from 15,000 to 30,000 worth of trees. We would like to know whether the Board of Education would be willing to have new trees on their properties. I also would implore that they do see this or have time for this new slideshow presentation that shows Green of Fairmont, which is a new priority of this Green Team organisation. We also want to know whether, when these trees do go in with residents, whether you'd be willing to put a brand new tree in each of the elementary schools and name it as such for the Green Team for this year. So there are many things that the Green Team would like to be able to do, and we would like first, as I said before, to show that presentation slideshow. So to the superintendent and every member on the board, we would like to know when that would be possible. Maybe we can go through you, Ron, and you can tell us when the time is and the ability for that, because you have attended some of our meetings.
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to Mr. Barber about that, and then, yeah, I'd be happy.
Yeah, we all like trees.
I just want to respond. Yes, I am a member of the Green Team. As every meeting, I can't really go in conflict. We do have a thing. I just had brought it up because we have a meeting. I have not spoken to Ms. Bartley about it, but we haven't brought it up because we haven't been meeting live. So now we're meeting live. Meet with Mr. Garcia, and I'll get back to you guys because I think it's a great idea. You know, I supported it. I said right from the beginning. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is it possible you could email me some literature on it that I can take a look at?
Yes, that is possible.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
I have one other thing to say to you. That's the only other thing. It's on the 23rd of May between noon and 3 o'clock at the Arboretum. There's going to be a number of events, and what we're asking whether the board would support the use of their electric boards at each of the schools promoting that particular event.
I just missed what was it?
One on Caroline Avenue, White Ball Drive.
Yes.
So once again, email me exactly what it is. Our signs, some of our signs are limited, some of our signs aren't working right now, some of them are manual signs, but some of them are restricted by how many letters you can put up there. So I don't want to say yes, and then I'm like, well, it only holds 5 letters. If you can email what it is, I'd be happy to speak with my secretary about it. We'll take a look at it, and if we can help you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No
Thank
problem.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other members of the audience? Hey, Ms. Rodney, come on down. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand.
Sorry, Christina. I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the teachers, and I missed the part where I say congratulations to all of the workers. But I know that this year, of course, everybody keeps saying our from juggling here and everything, but the amount of work and effort that has gone into this year is just amazing, and I see it in my son, and I see it in my discussions and meetings with teachers and paraprofessionals and everything, and just overall staff. And I just want to say thank you to all of you as well. This is not easy for anybody, parents, thank you, patience, whatever, understanding, trying new things. We all have to be super flexible, and I just really want to show you my appreciation for everything that the district has been doing behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, everything. Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. I'm so excited that as a PTO that we're actually able to show some appreciation to the teachers in different ways. It's just talking about basket candy or something so simple. It's just very exciting to be back in action in a sense. And I just want to
Thank you for thank you.
Listen, Tuesday night was the National Honor Society, but in addition to the National Honor Society was also PTA Council meeting. And, our PTA Council, our PTAs, are, the backbone of our school district. And without that and their support, I don't know where we would be. And Gene and I, we keep saying each other, we're just so lucky. We all say sometimes we're so blessed to have such a supportive community and a supportive parent group. Because we all know it's not like that everywhere. And to see everybody come together, I know some board members were on this week's meeting, and just laughing and joking and working well together in the best interest of our students, it's like winning the lottery. So I think that we need to thank all our parents for that.
Any other members of the audience? Ms. Rednick, you're up.
So I want to just go back to the question about phase 4. Is there a phase 4? With 2 months left of the school year?
Not at this moment.
Is it because of the lunching down?
It's just, we're 2 weeks into phase 3 right now. One thing we don't want to do is let our guard down, and then all of a sudden we're back to phase 2. Right now, I am very pleased with the direction we're going in. I'm very pleased when we report about how happy the students are. I'm seeing the same exact thing. It's been a great 2.5 weeks so far, but we're under 2 months before the school year is out. The one thing we don't want to do is let our guard down at this moment. We are having this conversation on a daily basis. But right now, we're still in phase 3.
So is there a possibility?
I'm not going to go back and forth on phase 1 right now. I am not going to answer the question that is in place. We're still in phase 3 right now.
So we're looking forward to opening up full time. So Mr. Beaverson had a great email today about 8th graders getting a message ceremony. I thought that was awesome. What about some of the other grades? I think that's the way that's happening in 8th grade. 6th grade, I work with 6th grade, they get mentions of like here they have musicians outside, should be getting an action, get a music. Is there any extra party for any of the other grades here in any of those schools?
Right now, we're planning moving up ceremonies for 4th grade, Addison preschool, 4th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade, obviously.
Okay, so for 4th grade, I know my son is in school this class, and I know they work on something, so I'm very happy to hear that. Hopefully, they can work on something with some of all the other grades.
It'll be 4th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade.
So, I know you guys are hiring this supervisor of the school counselors. I'm sure many of the nursing staff in the district, me being a nurse, I'm sure many nurses in the district have seen many kids coming with anxiety issues. There are certain schools in this district that are overcrowded. So TJ has 2 nurses. I noticed that Memorial doesn't have 2 nurses. Maybe in the future, with all the funding and everything that you've got, maybe that needs to be addressed for the nursing staff here in this district. Because I'm sure there's been many children with anxiety like these.
So Memorial does have a school nurse, but we also have
Colleen.
nurse aides that are there. And I'm sorry, Colleen is retired. Exactly, so it's actually,
It's a loss. Colleen is wonderful. I work with her.
yes, and you're very confident in saying chefs as well. Thank you. So,
And Amy's wonderful as well.
yes, so, but we do have another nurse that also assists in portions of the day as well. So it's not just one nurse.
So I know Julie's having to make sure there are 2 nurses that are full-time, or is Julie part-time, and then Tiffany's full-time.
So we have school nurses that are district nurses, and then we also have contracted nurses, and some of the nurses that you mentioned, TJ can be also like on a contract basis. So it's not that we just have one nurse in the building and a whole
Just making sure that these nurses are getting the support that they need, just like you said, the support that they need. With Teacher Appreciation Monday, I
application.
I think that might be it. I don't know if you guys offer any anxiety, I know there's Care Plus programs, I believe, for the summertime, right? Is that what you're gonna be offering for mental health?
Yes, that's one.
That's one of them. Is there anything else?
Yes, effective school solutions, as well as what was presented by Dr. Williams earlier.
Okay, what's like the school solutions? I don't know what that is.
Effective school solutions is the most intensive mental health program that we have here in our district at the secondary level, middle school, high school. It offers individual, group, and family counseling. It's just very, probably the third tier of mental health that we have here.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering my questions. I hope that when would we know about the summer programs and eligibility?
We'll let you know soon.
Okay. And if there's any possibility for phase 4, then I'll look forward to it as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And Logan?
Keep talking. We all have a voice and we all should be heard. Thank you.
All right. Board members. Julie. Anybody else? Julie? Mike?
I have two things that I want to say. The first is, sorry, I missed the name of the person who spoke about the grading. However, if we can't fit the information on the signs, I wonder if maybe we could have them create a flyer and put them on each jar, because that reaches every community member whose children are in district. I get multiple emails a day from them, and they're very easily accessible back in your email. So, just a sidebar, Canva's really great with flyers. I had to do one recently, and it's really easy and free for 30 days. The second is, I had shared my congratulations to the teachers and specialists of the year. And we talked about the TA council, about how they are the backbone of our district, and they certainly are. And I was really grateful that I got to attend this past week, because although I get to attend my own children's school's PTA, it's really amazing to see how, as a district, you guys come together, and it's not six elementary, 7 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 1 high school. You are one collective district, and that is so important to me as a community member and a board member that we see that. But what I did neglect to mention, I apologize for this in advance, is the true backbone of our district are the people that were here today then. So thank you to all of you. You truly are the backbone of our school system, and as both an educator, a board member, a community member, I know that you guys are the reason our schools are staying afloat. So thank you for all you guys do.
Thank you, Julie. Mike, Lee, and Ron.
So I want to really thank every teacher in this school district, and next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and
Timer. I'm telling Pat the timer.
Yeah, I know.
You having a problem with it? Sorry.
okay.
Thanks.
I'll try and keep it quick. I want to thank all of the teachers in the district. This year, out of every year that I've been in education, and I've been on this board, I've seen so many teachers working hard, and the way it works is teachers are tired, so tired at the end of the day. It's a different way of teaching. They were asked to go through real hell is the best word, I apologize. But, and I think next week we should all thank all of our teachers for the job that they're doing, and any teacher in any district, because it has been hard. And I appreciate everything that's been said about our PTA council. I've said it for years. I think the way we have it set up in Fairlawn, where the PTA presidents have a meeting every month with the Board of Education president and all the presidents of all the PTAs and parent groups, and an administrator, that is something special that we have in Fairlawn. And I know I've been sitting there, and I want to thank the businesses in town, because it's been a tough year for the PTAs and PTOs to raise money, and they're going out there. Forest School right now is having a virtual tricky trade since they put it. I happen to win a TV the other day. I've been trying to go out to different food vendors that have really tried. Fairlawn is a magnificent community, and all of the food vendors have been incredible, having PTA nights and donating a portion of what they receive to our PTAs and PTOs. So I would hope that everyone would support a lot of those, and I appreciate it. The one thing I want to mention, and is on the negative side. You know, our administrative team answered 17 hours of questions on our agenda this week. I think we need to look at that and look what we're doing with our administrative team, because if they're spending 17 hours answering all these questions for us, that's 17 hours that they're not working with our students. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Rita. I can't. Can you put it under the shield, maybe?
Can you hear me now? I was wondering whether it would be possible to add the district mental health page, and there was calendar with all the workshops at Care Plus and Effective School Solutions, do for the district.
She wants to know they added the presentations that have been done by Care Plus and Effective School Solutions to our mental health page that have been presented to parents and staff in the past.
And the calendar of one of the workshops are like Monday.
Oh, so you add a forward calendar.
But a year for the parents and planet.
She'd like to sit and correct me if I'm wrong. For next year, to post the calendar of the presentations and workshops ahead of time, so parents can plan for those months ahead to ensure that they can attend.
How old are you guys?
Sorry. I actually didn't hear Rita than I didn't hear anybody else right now.
Yes, we will look at it, and we'll look to see. We usually get the calendar of events and professional development. I believe we did put it out this year, but we'll make sure we get it to the website and advertise it. Listen, we want as many people to come as possible. Unfortunately, I don't want to say it's limited. Unfortunately, people aren't attending them, but we're doing everything we can to advertise it. We will continue to push it out as much as possible. Yes.
Anything else? You good? Okay. Ron.
I don't know if anybody signed on the other night for the National Honor Society ceremony, but I actually did it while I was teaching my class. So I had it on one side, and I was teaching my kids on the other side. It was very well done the other night, regarding the circumstances. And once again, it's just a joy to go to these events and then go to the board member. That makes it even more satisfying. But I want to give kudos to that and the rest of our advisors. They made a very nice ceremony, being Zoomed. They did a really nice job. So, like I said, if anybody gets a chance on any other ones that are coming up towards the end of the year, I would highly recommend that you attend them. And like I said, as a board member, I think that's one of the most important things to support the kids. They kind of understand that. I don't know if they knew I was there because they can't see me, but I did listen to it and I did pay attention to it as I was teaching. So I just want to mention that. It was a great job. And also, congratulations to all the award recipients. And I've been talking to the teachers all year long and telling them what a great job they've been doing, not just here in every district where I work and everything else like that. So, I mean, they just kind of above and beyond what they've had to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Lad.
I have a few things. I sorry, it may go on a little 5 minutes. I'll try to be quick. So first, I want to echo Mike and Tom congratulating teacher award recipients. And also echo Mike appreciating our teachers, because next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you to all teachers in this district and on this board as well. Okay, I also wanted to say to Pretty that this presentation that was presented here will be online, right? So you can read the presentation online. I think it will be useful. Okay, 4 more things. First question. Do we have confidence that by September we will solve the lunch aid problem?
By September, will we have confidence in what? The lunch aid problem, yes, I hope by September that we're back to normal schedule, which should solve the lunch aid problem while we actively seek lunch aids at the same time in case it does not solve the lunch aid problem. So yes, I hope by September that the lunch aid problem solves itself. And today was the first day, actually as we were stepping into the meeting, that every region in New Jersey is now officially in the yellow. So that, signs are pointing in the right direction, and I hope that by September we're in a great place. I'm being very optimistic.
Thank you. Okay, another thing is I want to all the board members, New Jersey School Board Association has meetings twice a year called delegate assemblies, and we discuss various things. I'm appointed a representative to that assembly, and they have resolutions, so I just wanted to mention here, the only resolution will be discussed this year, this meeting. I don't have the context in front of me, but it basically said that everybody deserves a good education, including LGBTQ plus students. I have no objections against this resolution. I plan to vote yes. I hope everybody agrees with that. Okay, next item. Okay, next item is this. So it's a little long. We all want public to participate in board meetings, board public participation. So today, other than the people who don't have many, I think a handful, and I think we should encourage public participation for board meetings. The pandemic forced everybody to be home. The pandemic forced us to have remote meetings. Everybody was forced to be home, but some things we can learn and maybe adopt and improve what happened during the pandemic. So what I'm trying to say is I'm advocating to allow public to attend meetings remotely and not just see meetings on YouTube, but also to ask questions and comments remotely. Many people are home with kids, they don't have time to come here to spend a few hours with us here. By allowing public to participate by asking questions remotely, I think we will make it very significantly easier for people to participate in our process. So I make the motion to allow public participation, including comments and questions, starting with our next public meeting remotely.
Second.
I have one more item to talk about.
So you made a motion, now we have to do what we have to do. Mike, I'm going to symbolically hand you the gavel because I would like to say something about that motion. The argument that you're making to allow members of the public, board members, that was an email, you talked about board members being able to do the same thing, administrators being able to do the same thing. In email, maybe that's not where you're moving now, but it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. We have 1,000 employees who we're telling you have to come to work. There's very few exceptions. It doesn't matter what your problem is with your child care. It doesn't matter what the problem is with your health care. You have to come to work. 1,000 people, we tell them that every single day. They sit there wearing their PPE,
interacting with the kids, interacting with the teachers, driving buses, cleaning the buildings, doing so many other things. And now we're going to say to them, after all this time, when we've been trying to get people back in the buildings, students and teachers and administrators and support staff, now we're going to say, you know what? It's good enough for you to have to go back to work, but not the rest of us. You know what? You guys go to work, you stay there, you take the risk, whatever risk there still is. But the rest of us, we don't like wearing a mask for a long time. We have things to do at home. It's not fair. It's not fair to the employees for us to be looking down from our ivory tower and saying, well, good luck with that. All right, I'm going to stay home. I don't want to go to the meeting. I want to watch it on YouTube or on Zoom. So I just think it's a horrible example to set for the public and or the board members to put themselves above the employees and say, too bad, it's a problem for me, so I don't want to have to do it. So that's my statement. And any other board members want to make? No, we're going to go around the table. You made your point. When we come back, we'll go around the table. Somebody else wants to say something. Cindy.
I guess I have a question about how the rules for conducting a public meeting. Because I don't ever remember prior to COVID a council meeting or any kind of meeting, any board of education in any other district where they entertain questions from someone who was not in attendance at the meeting. And I was just wondering if there's any way we could find out what that is. I understand that the rules were met this year because this year's been unlike any other year. But once things are back to normal, which I'm hoping they will be by September, I don't know that. I just would like to have some information about whether or not that is that normal for organizations to do that.
Before I go to Paul, as a Green attorney, I will tell you that many districts are moving back to this model. I spent hours and hours and hours. Actually, I didn't just do a survey because it's not just a simple yes or no question. There's so much more that goes into this decision. Going into this room and being set up today, I want to give a big shout out to Bob right now, while I can, to our maintenance, our buildings and grounds, our high school administration, my secretary, our technology. I mean, everybody was just here before going crazy to make sure that everybody was safe here. As we do every day for our students. And many districts are moving to this model with the philosophy and mindset of we're moving back to the way we were prior to COVID, and we're back in person. Kids are going back, we're opening things up again. So a lot of districts are going back to this model or this mode of working. Not all of them. Some of them still aren't. Some of them are not doing that. Every district was, but many districts are at this model right now.
Prior to the public health emergency, it was very rare that any public body would permit remote public participation. And there is no legal requirement to do so. What happened when COVID hit is that legislation was adopted to authorize a broader scope of public remote participation during the public health emergency, and directing the Division of Local Government Services to adopt interim regulations to implement that statute. Those regulations, which were adopted on an emergency basis, and then public comment was sought on them, still have not been truly finalized. They have not responded to all the public comments they've received. But those regulations provide that if a public entity such as this Board of Education has a remote meeting or a hybrid meeting, where you may have some people present and others remote, that in that circumstance you must permit the public to participate remotely or by email. The public comment has to be either can be submitted by email or they have to have the option to come in remote. There is no requirement, however, that you hold your meeting that way. The Board of Education is free to do it as doing tonight and hold the motion in person, and when it does so, then there is no legal requirement
basically permit any outside participation, electronic or by email. So it was very rare before COVID. As Mr. Garcia said, many boards are now going back to the traditional model, and in doing so are not permitting remote participation by the public or typically by board members. Sometimes there may be rare exceptions where somebody has to telephone in for a closed session perhaps, or an open session on some critical matter. Typically, public meetings are held in person and everyone's required to either be present or be absent.
Thank you all. Any other board members on the motion? Mr. Santana.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Board President. I think if we look at this from a logical stand, not from an emotional stand, we cannot misunderstand Mr. Itkin's motion. First of all, he wants greater public participation. Who doesn't want that? We all want public participation. Look at the people who are here, sacrificing time away from the loved ones, jobs, and personal life. I, as a board member, want to see more of you here, not less. The rationale that, well, it's not fair that people make the time to come here and other people, didn't make the time, that's a flawed rationale. It's like telling somebody, well, if you can't vote in person, you should vote by mail. And what is the point of voting by mail? Increasing participation. So, why am I making that rationale? That comparison, because that's exactly what Mr. Itkin is aiming at. Increasing public participation. Who will vote no against that? We need to disseminate important information to parents, grandparents, caregivers. Okay? So the district already has the know-how to get this done. We have done it before. I'm not afraid of having more public participation. There's people that will read, don't read. It doesn't matter. We want more participation. We should welcome more participation. What is the harm of increasing public participation? Remember, just because all the districts are not doing this, that doesn't mean federal shouldn't do it. The leaders of tomorrow attend federal school today. So, and we just heard from the attorney, legally it's not required, so we got that out of the way. Meaning we can do it if we want to. If we have the will to increase public participation and welcome people remotely. We are in the 21st century. This is year 2021. You can communicate with people from your phone. I just had a doctor's appointment on my phone via camera 2 days ago. I didn't have to go in person. I wasn't calling anybody office because I didn't make the time to go in person. They say thank you because it increased participation. We, the board of education, should increase participation. We should thank Mr. Itkin for his motion, not turn it down and not vote against it. So you have my support, and I'm sure I speak for people who could make it. You have the community support on this.
Thank you, Mr. Santana. Ron.
Can you repeat the motion, please? Because the sound here is horrible. I hear it as hard as it is. So can you please repeat the motion?
Ron, you got that, or?
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Itkin, seconded by Mr. Santana, to allow public participation at meetings remotely.
What? Can I say?
There's nothing about.
I'm sorry, I thought there was something wrong there?
Just to clarify, the meeting is for the public to attend remotely. And the motion is not about the board or administration.
Just the public, okay. It's just the public.
So it's just.
I just said that the board allows the public to participate at meetings remotely, correct? Okay, thank you. And yes, the sound in here is terrible, it's supposed to where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right, sure. Listen, I think I've been on the board 10 years. I've been on the meetings 5, 6 years before that. that. I just think if you're gonna do something like that, it has to be protocol. I will say this publicly, there's a time limit on speaking. When your time is up, you're done. No motion to let them speak another 2 minutes. We're gonna change the rules. You're gonna have rules and you're gonna follow the rules. That's the end of the story. But, I mean, again, listen, everybody's busy, especially right now. You know, I talk to a lot of people, you know what, we live stream the meetings, okay? If you want to get your question, you can email your question also beforehand, but if that's what you want to do, I mean, I don't see a problem with it. I just think people, if they really want to get in here, I do remember a couple of years ago, somebody saying during one of the forums, that was a nurse, talking about screaming that she wanted to watch it while she was on duty. It scared me a little bit, because I didn't want a nurse watching the board meeting while they take care of patients. But I'm just saying, if that's what they want, that's fine. What I will say though is I really do not like being told to think the way I should have to think. And that's sometimes how I feel lately in these board meetings. And it's very offensive to me. Okay, I have my feelings and my opinions, just like everybody else does, and I respect everybody else's. So I appreciate if everybody would respect my feelings and opinions and thoughts the same way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank you. For those fellow colleagues here who have been on board for 2 or 3 terms, there was negativity when Mr. Klein and I got on board and wanted to have more transparency and introduce the idea of having live streaming. For 2 years, we fought that until finally the board gave in. You can see the wealth of good that live streaming has done in this pandemic and over the past years. It allows for more transparency because once you say you can't do something, the community then thinks in a negative manner and asks why. Are they hiding something? So getting more transparency, getting more involvement of the community is only a win-win situation. Now, I agree that with this COVID, things change and practices change. From going from in the building to the internet. But if you think about it, many organizations are going back little by little, but they're also keeping some of the practices that they learned were beneficial during this pandemic. So not every organization says, no, the pandemic is over, we're moving back normal, so let's do away with everything. I don't see people who once worked in office buildings all returning to office buildings. That's why there's a multitude of businesses posting vacancies in buildings. I think that we need, and the public deserves the opportunity to do this. After all, there have been in past occasions board members who have not been able to make the meeting who telephoned in. This is very similar to that. More involvement increases more participation, and that is what we want, unless we're trying to hide something, which I know we're not. That's the perception that the community will bring with them if we vote no on this grant.
Julie.
So, Mr. Liddell, I do agree with you that I think that,
Can you talk to the mic?
sorry, that by saying no, that we may, well, because we're not being transparent, they do have quite a number of reservations made a motion to let them finish. But the problem is that some of the questions that are asked shouldn't just be brought to the Board of Ed. We should be starting at our PTAs and our building principals, and then if they don't get the answer that they're looking for, they should then be going to the central office. Some of these questions shouldn't automatically be coming to the board. We shouldn't be, as parents and guardians, we shouldn't be waiting until a monthly board meeting to ask a question. So if we're going to consider opening up Zoom, we need to ensure that the rules that are in place remain in place, because it's very, very clear that these rules are there for a reason, and there's a reason why we have the 3-minute limit, and then if there's other people that are finished, they can come back up. But that has not been past practice, so I'm going to be very honest, unless that's going to be guaranteed, I am not willing right now to vote on this, because history repeats itself. And just like we are saying that there are parents who are home with their children, there are parents who are working late, I made the choice to run, I made the choice to be a part of the, to focus on getting elected, but our time needs to be productive, because if it's not productive, I'm missing out on time with my family, I'm missing out on time where I could be working, I could be doing something else too, and I made this choice, but right now a lot of the things that are being talked about, and I get it, we're passionate, I am passionate too, I want my children back in school, but the passion drove through the rules, and those rules are there so that these meetings are productive, and so our administrators can do their job, and right now, in the last 9 months that I've, sat here, or at my house, those rules have not been in place.
Can I just jump in logistically and speak about this from a technical standpoint? Before we pass a motion that we can successfully pull off, can we look? I know it may satisfy the motion if the board decides to vote that way, but this is a conversation we should probably have with our tech department and our staff to say, can we pull something like that off in a room like this? Where are the phone lines? Where is Zoom? What are we talking about here? What are our options? Because we're really not sure. While I'm not disagreeing, what I'm proposing is potentially, what if we did something for the next meeting where we did the Google Doc where people could write in questions, and so you could watch live stream, you can come to the meeting, or you could write in your questions, and we'll do our best to answer all the questions and read them out at the board meeting. If you write them in up until the meeting, and then we have to bring it down and read through and try to answer them as best as we can at the meeting, and then there's public participation from home by writing the questions from the, when we post the agenda 48 hours up until the meeting, we could work on that. But before we just start saying we're going to zoom into the meeting, not knowing if we're going to be able to pull something like that off in a room like this, or wherever we decide to have the meeting moving forward. I'm hoping in September, we're back to the normal fashion where we can sit there without pass on, and we have our attendees in the board conference room, or wherever we decide to have a meeting. But before we put a motion on the floor, I know it's too late, the motion's there already, I respect that, but please allow us administratively to say, okay, this is what we can do with our staff, we can pull off. Yeah, we can drag the phone line in the middle of the room, and if we do a dial on Zoom, or we can pull a screen down, and maybe a little bit more possible. Maybe for the next month, if we do a Google form as the happy medium while we research this and find out what we could potentially do for the next meeting.
Julie, you want to finish? Or are you done?
I'm good.
Okay. Mike and Cindy.
I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I think we're using the word transparency wrong. And I thought this for quite a while. Our board meetings are public. The agendas are put out to the public. The board meetings are streamed live, so everyone sees exactly what happens at a board meeting. It's public. It's transparent. You can look at board meetings and board agendas and minutes to meetings all the way back to whenever you want. And if it's not on the website, you can even request even back ones further than that. I am against making motions all of a sudden during a meeting and trying to, and people have even said that we need time to digest information before we make a decision. Because if we make a decision where we don't have time to digest that information, we could go down the wrong path. We were elected as a 9-member Board of Education. 3 members get elected every 3 years. We represent the people of Fairlawn. Our emails are public information. We're all approachable. I'm sorry, I can only speak for myself. I'm approachable, and I represent Fairlawn the best way I can. I'm very transparent. I'm probably too transparent sometimes. Been accused of that. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to some kind of email or form, but to have back and forth interaction, it takes away from us doing the job that we need to do. And meetings of the Board of Education, where it's very important work, it also shouldn't be 4-hour meetings, because then people aren't watching the meetings. After a certain amount of time, people tune out. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Cindy?
I agree with what Ron said, what Mike said, and what Julie said. There's no way I can vote on something like that right now without having time to digest it. I'm also not going to be made to feel guilty or pressured into a vote for what it's going to look like. People know who I am, and I have never changed. And I just would like to have some time to digest it. I'm not opposed to the whole entire thing, but I am certainly not casting a vote tonight. So if there is a roll call, I'll be abstaining.
Okay, Mr. Santan. All right, Mark, and then
Thank you. It seems like we have a real conundrum right now, and we brought it on by ourselves. And why I say this is because we do not, and I'll repeat it, we do not have the committee meetings that we once had, the work sessions that we once had. The only way we can bring something up in a timely manner is during a meeting like this. We should have more work sessions scheduled. We should have more committee meetings scheduled. And I don't want to hear we put in too much time. You're taking up my time. I want to be with my family. We, as Julie said, are committed to this job. Let us take the needed time so we don't embarrass ourselves during these meetings by bringing up motions that can't be voted on. Because you're right. I don't want to make a decision in 3 minutes. I want to hear everything. But we're not given that opportunity to do that. So let's get back on a schedule where we have committee meetings regularly held and work sessions regularly held. And I don't care how many sessions I have to go to. We used to meet 7 and 8 times a month. We now meet 1 or 2 times a month. We can't get the work done that we need to get done. Thank you.
That I agree with.
Actually, hold on. Let's say that, and if you want to speak.
Deal.
I only been on this board for 2.5 years, and everyone has a different point of view. My point of view is, having a member of the board speak twice does not bother me. I welcome that. If we have the 200 parents, then I will retake that. But if we have if some of us, I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for anyone, if some of us take the time to sit down and come up with many, many topics, many ideas, following the proper channel, like you stated, Mrs. Spindell, and our topics and our ideas are not entertained in a timely fashion, in a month, in 2 months. That's why we have to break things up during the meeting, because that's the procedure that we have. If our ideas are not followed through by the committee chairs, our procedure says that we can bring it up during the meeting. So I think the issue is we need to be welcoming to each other's ideas and take a vote, and if it passes, passes, and if no, life goes on. But the board member stated that we have to have conversation. Tonight, there was a motion to have a conversation and it was voted down. So you don't want to have a conversation. I'm keeping it real right now. If you want to have, excuse me, I'm speaking. If you want to have a conversation, allow us to have.
Gentlemen, hold on. Mr. St. John, hold on a second. Ron, let him finish. He's got like 30 seconds.
This is an example of what I'm saying. This is one example. When I hear someone that disagrees with me, I welcome that and I like that because it makes me rethink and reshape my opinion. But when some of us speak, and it's not the idea that you're looking for, the treatment that some of us get here is horrendous. It's horrendous. So we need to respect one another. We don't have to agree. Let's agree on not to agree. But you don't even want to allow us to talk in private. So, you know, I was voted.
Mr. Santana, your 3 minutes is up.
Yes. Let me finish this sentence. I was voted, like everybody else here, to do right by the community, by the children and the taxpayers. But I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. I'm going to be honest, and I'm not going to say what people want to hear or what I want to hear. I want to say the truth and do right by the children. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move on here. Let me just say this. The past year cannot be in any way used to say this is what the board does wrong. The past year has been hell on wheels for everybody. You want to have more Zoom meetings a year ago? First of all, the technology had to catch up with everything. And in regard to ideas brought forth by board members to committees, many ideas have been brought to the committees. And the committees have said, I'm sorry, Mr. X or Ms. Y, we are not going to discuss that. The committee doesn't feel it should be discussed. So you got 3 people on the committee and 2 of them don't want to discuss it. I'm sorry, that's just the way it goes. That's how it goes. You bring up ideas, they get shot down, whatever. Work sessions, you know, like Nick and I talked about having some more committee meetings. I don't want to have a committee meeting just to have a committee meeting. Because one person has one idea, we're going to have a committee meeting. Drag everybody out of their house, or make them sit in their office and have the committee meeting. And I don't want to hear about, well, you know, you committed. No kidding. I've committed for 30 years. So to even bring that up to anybody on this board is ridiculous. Everybody here puts a lot of time in every week, every month. So to say we'd like to be more efficient with our use of time, your idea came up, it was discussed with the committee decided not to have discussion, or the committee decided not to bring it to the board. That's how the committee system works. It's a committee system that everybody on this board, see Julian and Rita, because they weren't here, we voted on the setup. That's what we voted on. So to say you don't like the system, well, that's something different. Do we want to have more meetings? I'm sure next year we will. But this has been a very bizarre year. And I understand Vlad's point, and I understand Mr. Santana's point about public participation. But the technology may or may not be there. The meeting's going to drag on for hours longer. As Julie said, people don't understand, especially on Zoom, when they're not in the same room with you. You tell them, your 3 minutes is up. I need another minute. Your 4 minutes is up. I need another minute. Your 4.5 minutes is up. I need another minute. It just goes on and on and on. So we can discuss what Mr. Norcia said about maybe doing an email, but at this point, it's And go back to my point, telling the staff, you can't vote in, but we can. You know, and even if it's just the public telling the staff, your help, your time is not as important as ours. And that's exactly what we're saying. And I know some people don't look at it that way, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Julie wanted to say something, and then somebody else had to pick up, I think. Ron.
Mr. Spindell, I agree with you. I'm happy to spend the time and put the work in to ensure that the needs of our students and our staff and our community is met. I think it's really important that the time is productive. I also think that at this point, some of those meetings might be really beneficial to us as a board, because right now, every month, these meetings are contentious and they're getting nasty and they're embarrassing. And maybe if we spend more time working together, our time would be effective and functional, and we could learn to work collaboratively. However, at this point in time, I still don't think that making this decision right now, because no one reached out to me about this. So if I had had a conversation with someone or anyone, I think every single person here, we all have each other's phone numbers, we all have each other's email addresses. If we couldn't come to a work session, there's still a way to contact one of us. So I think it's really important that we have honest, open communication, and that's not going to happen right now. So until we figure out how to have that kind of conversation, I cannot in good conscience vote yes on this. We need to talk openly and honestly, and not sit here and bash one another, and because all we're doing is embarrassing ourselves.
Ron and Larry,
Mr. Spindell, I've had about 5 finance building around here that's requested by this department. So I've been having meetings as far as actually on another personnel. When somebody requests it, then I'll have it. In the past, I've always on my meetings. As far as ideas, I don't want to hear anybody's tongue, because any ideas is something that I brought to my committee. I always do. I don't care who you are or what you do. Last thing I was going to say, anybody that has questions on this board, anybody, my commitment to the children of this community, you will deal with me, because I ran for the Board of Education from day one for the children. And I'm always here for these children, and they know me, because I go to things. Because part of the board is also supporting the children by attending events where we're back in life. It's not just saying you're a board member. Okay? If anybody's insulted, I apologize, but I'm just saying I will not sit here by certain people and take criticism of my commitment to this board, to this community, or these children. Because the number one reason I'm on this board is that the children are failing. And that's the reason why I'm here. If anybody's got a problem with that, they can talk to me personally. But I gotta be honest with you, right now I am embarrassed, I am upset, and I'm insulted by some of the comments that were made directly to the rest of this board tonight. If I'm not getting anybody, I'm sorry. Have a nice night.
Larry.
I'll give you a minute.
I can come on business. Thank you.
What just happened?
He's deferring to me.
So you're giving up your time to talk, or you just want to let Mark go first?
I will come on business.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, Ron, I would apologize if I said something that was mean to you, but I never said your name. But I never said your name, and there's 3 other committees. It's not just one committee, and that's it. It's funny how some people pick up on things that are said that are negative, and they look at in retrospect, that must be me. I've never, and that's happened before when I've said things. I never, ever say a specific person. There have been many times in the past of people saying, I don't want to spend my time doing this, I've got another life. Just think about it, because I know and I remember individuals saying that. I never said it was done yesterday. I never said somebody said that a month ago or 3 months ago. I'm just bringing up, I don't want somebody to use that as an excuse not to meet. That was my intention and only intention. It was not to embarrass anybody or to put anybody, down. It was just, I don't want to be used as
why we can't meet. And getting back to the committee meetings and all, I brought up I wanted to discuss somebody in personnel. Couldn't do it because right now we're voting on it. There was no time to discuss personnel. He brought up an item right now, couldn't do it because there wasn't enough time to discuss it. So we need to be cognizant of this and to be aware that there are certain things that must be brought up in a timely manner and they need to be scheduled. And we're not doing that. That's all that I'm trying to say. We need to have further meetings so that when there are ideas brought up, we can discuss them and not bring them up here and embarrass ourselves. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Vlad.
So, Mike, I agree with you. I don't like surprises. I understand you were surprised by this motion, and I apologize for you being surprised. And the reason I made the motion is because I think it's somewhat urgent, because we're going to have the next public meeting, and I'd like this to be enforced, implemented, in the next public meeting. So this is the first comment. And I am a surprised for some members of the board. Nick, I don't think you are totally surprised by this, I believe. Now, Jimmy, I agree with you. We need the rules. We need people to abide by the rules. And whoever will be meetings in person or remotely in any way, shape or form, whether it be Jim or somebody else, please enforce the rules. We need to be by the rules, don't we? Nick, can I ask you a question? Just to clarify your suggestion that people will be able to write us, you didn't write us before the meeting or during the meeting, or both?
I was proposing before the meeting.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, last but not least, of course, we have to know only things that are technically possible. So I would like to amend the motion and say, insert, if technically possible. If it's technically possible, let's do this. Otherwise, of course, we cannot do it. It's not possible. I'm done.
Second.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, but it's very difficult to implement.
Well, I can bring this up at committee.
Okay, then
All right, you know, I'm going to tell you just one minute. We're going to have a work session sometime in May, okay? I'm going to say it right now. We're going to have a work session in May. We'll put this on as one of the agenda items and a couple other items. So if everybody has some ideas, give it to me next week. I'll talk to Nick. I just dropped his bomb on him, so I can see he's like being the... So we'll have a work session sometime in May. I'm not promising when. It may be part of another meeting. We may have a committee meeting beforehand. And as far as trying to make efficient use of our time, I don't see a problem with having a committee meeting at 7 and then having the full board at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So that kind of thing. And we used to do that. We used to piggyback committee meetings, one on top of the other, so that the administration wasn't out for 2 days when an hour instead of one day for 2 hours. So we'll do that. And we'll discuss this. Nick kind of talk about it with his people, see what's what. And we can put some other items on it, agenda items on it. And listen, I'm not trying to quash people's ideas. I'm really not. It's just that, you know, I'll get an email with 15 ideas of what we should do in the personnel committee. What do you do with that? I'll get an email with 15 questions about a particular item that I'm copying on with Nick. It's very time consuming for Nick, it's very time consuming for his people, and as somebody said, you know, all the questions from the agenda, 17 hours worth of administration time to answer questions, many of which were valid and I understand, but many of which were in the weeds. Now I'm in the weeds, I'm sorry. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a work session sometime in May. I'm talking to Nick, we'll set it up. It's going to be a Monday or a Thursday. It's going to be a date that most people can make it. We're not going to switch it like, I can't do the 13th, I can't do the 17th. We're going to pick a date. And we got a quorum, we're doing a meeting. And you want to yell at me?
trust in the committee process. We've all, many of us, have sat through retreats, not meeting for school boards. If we don't trust each other, if we don't trust the committee process, and we don't trust what comes out of the committee, then there's no sense of having meetings. Because we do. We have meetings for hours, ad nauseam sometimes, committee meetings. And we answer, the last finance committee had 19 big agenda items on it. And we come, as Mr. Barbarola said, every item on it. I was asking you. But yet, we still answered all the questions that came out of there, discussed them tonight on the agenda, kept them going. So you ask yourself, what's the sense of having a committee? If the committee comes to consensus, trust, you have to trust the consensus. That's why those people are on the committee. Just like if you're on a personnel committee, and the personnel committee discusses something, says this is our recommendation. But too often, we haven't been trusted with the process, and we've been doing the complete opposite of what the committee is doing. So I think some people may be asking themselves, why even have a committee meeting if we're just going to spend hours shooting out hot air for no reason? So this is rhetorical. I'm not asking for anybody to respond. I'm saying if we're going to have a committee meeting, yes, as Gene said, this was one hell of a year. We should not use this as our example. Because Mark's right. When I got on the board, when I came to the board one, we were meeting 4 nights a week, easy some nights. It was like we were out all the time. But if we're going to have meetings more often, we need to trust what comes out of the meetings. And that's something we need to work on as a board. Because this, it's 10:30 and we still have a good hour of closed session to come for. We're going to be here for a while. We need to trust each other, not do the complete policy. The system works.
All right, Mike, you said you need 15 seconds.
I just want to make sure people know I agree with what Julie said, and I agree with what Ron said. I just want you to know that I've been on this board for a while now, and I will stay here for any meeting that I'm needed at to make this school system a better school system. And if anyone's misconstruing what I'm saying when I say that I don't want to stay here late and stuff like that, it isn't that I don't want to stay here for the kids. I want to do everything on a meeting. I've gone to a meeting 5 days a week, 5 days in a week, 5 meetings in a week. So that's what I got voted in for, and that's what I signed up for. So I agree with you.
All right, thank you, Mike. All right, Brooke, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barbarola.
We're voting on a motion.
I don't have enough information. That's why I'm voting no, because I don't have enough information.
Mrs. Goodell.
Yes.
All right, never mind.
No. He wanted to change it to something too ambiguous, Paul said.
Close meeting.
Procedural question.
Proceed with the vote.
May I ask a procedural question?
Go ahead.
Clearly there was only 5-4 because I already spoke. If I drop this now, then it will allow us to discuss this again after we'll have one.
If this motion does not pass now, it cannot come up again until there's a new board.
I drop the motion now. I drop the motion.
Right, you would like to withdraw the motion at this point. Is that okay? What? Is that okay with the seconder?
No.
All right, Paul, what do we do then?
Motion vote continues.
Okay.
However, I believe it, Gene, I do believe it can be brought up.
I thought,
Not tonight. Not tonight.
Mr. Santana, hold on a second, I'm trying to figure something out with the attorney.
I have a question for the attorney.
Well, when I'm done speaking to him, you can speak to him. Okay? No, I'm still speaking to him.
Oh, sorry.
I was talking to him and then I turned to talk to you. So Paul, if the motion doesn't pass tonight, because I remember this from years ago, similar situation, we would vote on something and then it would come up again the next month. We were told that you can't bring it up every month, that you have to wait for the
new board. It was voted on February or March.
It becomes a question of whether it becomes like arbitrary. In other words, you can bring it up, and there could have been agreement to bring it up at another meeting. You can't bring it up every single month.
Okay.
So, but you could reconsider or re-entertain a motion at another meeting. You can do that on a limited basis.
Okay.
You just can't start doing it every month.
Okay, that's what was happening. Every month, this one motion was coming up.
Right.
And finally, we put a stop.
That wasn't community service, was it?
That was a green team. All right, so Mr. Santan, yes.
Very briefly, Mr. Attorney, why did we take a straw poll before the vote? Is that allowed?
Not at this point. Now that the vote's underway, unless the mover and seconder are in agreement to withdraw it and the body has no objection to it.
Okay.
Under Roberts, the vote has to continue.
All right, as the person who seconded the motion, I'm going to consider my colleagues, but I would like us to consider each other. So I accept withdrawing the motion.
Okay. Well, I'm still.
I'm sorry, based on the latest explanation by Mr. Lee, which was, he said, actually, we can reverse this.
So do you want to continue with the vote?
Yes.
Paul?
Yeah.
Paul, where are we now?
Vote.
Well, okay, vote. Where do we leave off? Mr. Barbarillo voted, right?
Mr. Barbarillo voted, Mrs. Development voted, Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mayhem, Ms. Quackenbush, Mr. Rosenberg,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell, Mr. Banta.
No. What's the vote?
We have 4 yeses, 4 noes, and 1 abstention.
All right, doesn't pass. Okay. Next public meeting is when? May 27th. We'll be here on the 27th. Hopefully it won't be 90 degrees again. So can I have a motion to recess into closed session?
So,
All right, second? All in favor?
Mr. President, we have had new business. I have something.
Yeah, we were doing new business, and that's when Vlad brought up the motion. That was part of the new business, and you spoke already.
No, I spoke on the motion. I have new business that I would like to speak.
You didn't have any, I don't remember. I know I have your name there a couple of times.
On the motion.
Hold on a second, hold on, let me figure this out, okay? Did Mr. Wilkin, did Mr. Santana speak on anything other than this motion?
I have that, he said thank you to all the teachers, the administration, Ms. Brown, the economic staff.
I can't.
You said, remember you said thank you to all the teachers, administration, not
That's
just
right.
now, but all the time, you said that. That was this, new business.
So you have, all right, so you spoke once, so now you got 3 minutes. Thank you, Brooke.
Go back into open session, they did a motion to recess in closed session?
We didn't vote, we didn't vote again.
Okay.
The board of referral, and I have spoken about this in the past, in the time that I've been on the board, maybe one time ago, but the board of referral and the district, they both have camps. I view that as a duplication of the program. I would like to ask the respective committees, finance, shared services, to take this topic into consideration and to give me in the know if you consider that topic. For buildings and grounds, the website, I think is the way to go. And I would like to know if the inspection committee, buildings and ground finance can look into that. I would like to suggest for the administration to have some sort of workshop or meeting for parents. Parents have a lot of anxiety about September. I know there's a lot the district does not know because of the state and because of the regulation, but a lot of people want to know if we're going to have normalcy back. And it's not just because they want to know, it's because they're planning the school year for the children. So any information, even we are planning, we don't know, even saying we don't know, I think we don't know yet, we'll know soon. I think that would be, that would calm a lot of nerves in the community. And I don't know if the buildings and grounds committee is going to take this idea, but the gentleman that spoke in the audience about having trees in our properties, I think that's worthy of discussing. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Now can I have a motion to recess into closed session? All in favor? All right, thank you. We will not be coming back out of open session. Have a good night, everybody. And all the time is 11 o'clock news.